Welcome back to the deep dive. You know how we do things here, right? We take a topic we're curious about, we gather a whole bunch of interesting sources, and we just, well, dive in.
Yeah.
Today we're asking a really interesting question. Can personalized financial advice truly empower Muslim women?
Ooh. I like that framing. It's a question a lot of folks are asking.
Yeah.
And to really get into it, we're going to be looking closely at a recent interview with Fahan Ibrahim Hashi.
Oh, yeah. She founded Nisa Invest, right?
That's right, a financial platform built specifically for Muslim women.
Her story is fascinating. I mean, she starts out at Citi, this major U.S. investment bank.
Right, big-time finance.
But she ends up leaving to found Nisa Invest. What led to that huge change?
Well, it all started with something pretty simple, actually. While she was at Citi, she noticed this trend, this rising influence of micro-influencers,
Yeah.
and how major companies were changing their strategies to target Gen Z.
Makes sense.
So she started looking into the modest fashion industry
Interesting.
because, like Islamic finance, it's often seen as this niche thing,
Yeah. Right.
but actually it serves this massive global audience.
Huh. I see a parallel there.
Oh, absolutely. Both often overlooked by those big mainstream institutions,
Yeah.
despite their huge potential.
Yeah. Both catering to these large global communities with specific values and needs.
You got it.
So she's at Citi, sees this gap in the market, but did that experience actually shape how she approached finance?
Oh, 100%.
Hmm.
Working in that high-powered environment gave her a real insider's view of how the financial world works.
Right.
And she realized how the jargon, the sheer complexity of financial products can be so overwhelming.
Right. Even for people who, have some background.
Exactly. And she realized there needed to be a simpler approach, something tailored for specific audiences.
I like that. But was there a particular experience that really pushed her down this path?
There was actually. A pivotal moment for her came when she led this personal finance workshop
Oh, wow.
at her local mosque, part of a women's group. It was her first time speaking to a bigger group. And she was so struck by how many women were just craving this accessible financial guidance.
It sounds like there was a real need there.
Absolutely.
What were they asking about? What were their main concerns?
They wanted to know how to manage their money, but the whole financial world just felt too complicated.
Yeah.
They were looking for practical advice on saving, investing, planning for their future.
Right.
And crucially, they wanted guidance that really fit with their values as Muslim women.
So there was this gap between what was available and what these women really needed.
Exactly. Traditional financial advice just didn't factor in those cultural and religious considerations.
Makes sense.
For example, many weren't sure how to invest in a way that aligned with Islamic principles.
Right, which prohibits certain types of investments.
Exactly. Things like those involving interest or too much risk.
That's where her blog comes in, right? Fahan Finance.
You got it.
What made her start sharing her knowledge online?
It was a way to break down personal finance for her friends and family at first.
Oh, that's nice.
Practical tips, relatable language, real-life examples.
I love that.
She even used humor, memes even,
Yeah.
to make it more engaging.
So smart. Even early on, she's thinking about making financial information engaging and accessible.
Yeah. It wasn't just about knowledge, it was about community.
Right.
Her blog just blew up, and she realized she had this knack for explaining these complicated financial things in a way that people got.
Especially women.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially women who often felt left out of the financial world.
Right. It's like she created this space where women could learn about money without feeling intimidated.
Yeah.
But she's still at Citi at this point, right?
Right.
What made her decide to leave and go all in on Nisa Invest?
That blog's success and that workshop at the mosque were a huge validation for her.
Yeah.
She was on to something important. She knew she could empower Muslim women to take charge of their finances.
Such a leap of faith.
It was
So what were her first steps in launching Nisa Invest? Did she have a clear idea for the platform?
Oh, she had a strong purpose, for sure.
Sure.
One of the first things she did was change the name of her blog from Fahan Finance to Nisa Invest.
I love that.
Nisa meaning woman in Arabic.
It's a statement, a commitment to serving this specific audience.
Right. She wanted to create a brand that felt welcoming and empowering.
Yeah, I can see that.
She also went after those financial planning qualifications,
Sure.
essential for building trust and credibility.
Makes sense. So she's being very intentional here. What exactly is Nisa Invest? How's it different from other financial planning services?
So it's a platform designed to guide Muslim women through those different life stages from, starting a career to planning for retirement.
Right.
But it's not just investment advice.
Okay.
It weaves Islamic values and principles into every part of its services.
Yeah, that seems like a big difference. How does she actually integrate those values practically?
Well, for instance, she educates women on Islamic financial products, like halal investments.
Right, the ones that comply with religious guidelines.
Yep. She also stresses the importance of charitable giving, which is a core part of Islam.
I can see how that personalized approach would be huge. But we'll have to pause there for now. Be sure to catch part 2 of this deep dive, where we'll explore the unique challenges Muslim women face in finance and how Nisa Invest is helping them overcome those obstacles. So we were talking about how Nisa Invest integrates Islamic values into financial planning. But before we get more into that, I'm curious, what are some of the challenges that Muslim women specifically face in the financial world?
Yeah, it's important to acknowledge those. They're often overlooked, right? I mean, one big thing is the lack of relatable role models in finance.
Yeah, I can see that being a hurdle.
It can lead to feelings of exclusion, a lack of confidence.
Totally. When you don't see anyone who looks like you or shares your values, it's harder to picture yourself succeeding.
Right. And this lack of representation is even worse in finance, which is, historically male-dominated.
Yeah, not exactly known for being welcoming to women, let alone those from minority backgrounds.
Exactly.
So there's that systemic barrier. But are there other things specific to Muslim women that Fahan's trying to address?
She's talked about this scarcity mindset that can be prevalent in some communities.
Oh, interesting. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's this belief that there's not enough to go around, money, resources, opportunities.
Okay.
And that can make people hesitant to talk about finances.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like they might feel greedy or boastful.
Right.
And it can also make it tough to ask for help, even from friends and family, about money stuff.
Yeah, like if you can't even talk about it, how can you learn or get advice?
Precisely. And Fahan gets that.
Okay.
That's why she's built this platform that promotes these open, honest conversations about finances.
Right, in a supportive environment.
Exactly. She
Yeah.
wants to break that money taboo and empower women to take control.
So she's dealing with the practical and the psychological side of managing money.
Absolutely. And she does it by giving clear, actionable advice that's easy to actually do.
Right, not overwhelming people.
Exactly. She doesn't use all that complex financial jargon or crazy investment strategies. She tells them, start small, take manageable steps.
Like what kind of advice does she actually give?
Well, one of her big things is just understanding your pay slip.
Oh, wow, that basic.
You'd be surprised how many people don't fully get it, the deductions, contributions, all that.
Right, knowing where your money's going is key.
Exactly. She also encourages women to find a better current account, one that fits their spending habits and financial goals.
Oh, okay.
And another big one, building that emergency fund.
Yeah, that's good advice for everyone.
It is.
But are there any specific products or strategies that are particularly relevant for Muslim women?
Yeah, definitely. So she teaches them about Islamic financial products, things like halal investments.
Oh, right, the ones that follow religious guidelines?
Yep, that means no earning interest, which is called riba, and avoiding investments in industries that are considered harmful, like alcohol, gambling, or tobacco.
So it's about aligning your investments with your values.
Exactly. And it's not just about investing either. She talks a lot about charitable giving, which is known as zakat.
Right, that's one of the 5 pillars of Islam.
Yep. And she helps women figure out how to incorporate zakat into their financial plans, choosing causes that are important to them.
So it's this holistic approach that considers the spiritual side of money, too.
Right. And this actually ties in beautifully to this Islamic principle of tying your camel.
Oh, I've heard of that. What's that about?
So it's a saying from the Prophet Muhammad that emphasizes human effort and divine will.
Okay.
So like you should take precautions, tie your camel so it doesn't wander off.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you got to trust in God's plan.
I see. So it's that balance between action and acceptance.
Yeah. And Fahan really encourages women to embrace that in their financial lives. To focus on what they can control, make smart choices, and have faith that things will work out.
It's a powerful message. Switching gears a bit, though, I'm curious about the tech side of Nisa Invest. How is she using digital tools?
Oh, that's a great question. She's really big on using tech to make financial planning easier and more engaging.
Okay, so what's she doing specifically?
Well, she's creating these software tools and educational resources designed to be super user-friendly, especially for Muslim women.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. One of the key things is this budgeting app.
Oh, cool.
Helps women track their income and expenses, see their spending patterns, spot areas where they might be overspending.
So helpful.
It is. And it suggests ways to save money, too.
So smart. What other digital things is she doing?
She's created these online courses and webinars covering everything from basic budgeting to investing for retirement.
Wow, so it's like a whole curriculum.
It is, and it's all designed to be interactive and fun with quizzes, videos, downloadable stuff.
So she's breaking down barriers to financial education.
That's the goal.
I love that. But what about the community aspect? How does she create that sense of connection?
That's a huge part of it. She knows that financial planning can feel isolating,
Yeah.
especially for women who maybe aren't comfortable talking about money with others.
Yeah, for sure.
So she set up these online forums and social media groups,
Oh, nice.
places where women can connect, share their experiences, ask questions.
A safe space to learn and support each other.
Exactly.
But building trust is key, right? How does she make sure women feel good about sharing that personal financial information?
That's such a good point. Transparency and confidentiality are super important to her.
Yeah.
She's very careful about data security and privacy,
Okay, good.
making sure everything is protected.
Before we wrap up, I want to touch on something that keeps coming up, this idea of empowerment.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean to Fahan, and how does she see Nisa Invest contributing?
So for her, financial empowerment is about more than just having money. It's about having the knowledge, the skills, the confidence to make informed decisions about your finances.
Right, and achieve your goals.
Yes. And she believes it's essential for women's overall well-being and independence.
It's about having agency over your own life.
Exactly. And she created a platform that gives women the tools and resources to do just that.
It's inspiring, but we'll have to stop there. Join us for the final part of this deep dive, where we'll explore what Fahan's work could mean for the future of Islamic finance. As we've been talking about Fahan and Nisa Invest, I keep thinking about the bigger picture. It's not just about helping individual women, it's potentially changing the whole Islamic finance industry.
It really could, Her approach is like a challenge to that traditional model of Islamic finance, which a lot of people see as complicated and out of reach.
Yeah, and you said earlier that even though it serves a huge global Muslim population, it's often viewed as this niche thing.
Right.
Why is that? What makes people think that way?
Well, I think there are a few reasons. One is just the history of it all.
Right.
Conventional finance has really shaped those global systems and institutions.
Right.
And Islamic finance, with its own unique principles and practices, it hasn't always fit in easily.
So it's kind of a visibility thing, like it's not as represented in the overall financial world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's the complexity issue. Islamic financial products are often structured differently than conventional ones.
Right, to comply with religious guidelines.
Exactly. And that can make them seem more complicated, harder to understand if you're not familiar with the principles.
Right, it can be intimidating.
And that's what's so cool about what Fahan's doing. She's demystifying it all,
Yeah.
breaking it down into simple steps, making it relatable.
Bridging that gap between the technical stuff and the everyday needs of Muslim women.
Yes. And her focus on personalization is so important. She gets that financial advice can't be one size fits all.
Right.
It has to be tailored to each person's values and goals.
Giving people the power to make choices that are right for them.
Exactly. And this could totally change how people see and use Islamic finance.
So it's not just about creating this platform for Muslim women, it's about making the whole industry more inclusive.
Yes. More responsive to different people's needs.
It's like she's a catalyst for change.
She is. She's showing everyone that Islamic finance can be principled and practical.
Yeah, profitable and socially responsible.
Right.
Her story is amazing. But moving forward, what are some of the challenges she might face as Nisa Invest grows?
Well, one thing is scalability. Right now, they're focused on a specific region.
Right.
As they expand, how do they keep that personalized approach while reaching more people?
That's tough for any business, balancing growth with those core values.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's a whole keeping up with the industry thing.
Right. Finance is always changing.
Totally. New technology, new regulations all the time. Nisa Invest has to be adaptable.
Always learning, always changing.
Yeah. And then there's the funding side of things. They need to make money while staying true to that mission of empowerment.
Yeah, finding that balance is hard.
It is. But Fahan seems to have a really clear vision.
And she's so committed.
Oh, yeah. Her story is so inspiring.
Right. It shows you don't have to follow the traditional path to success.
You can create your own by finding a need and building a solution that reflects your values.
It's that combination of passion, expertise, and really understanding a community's needs.
Right.
Right.
And it reminds us that finance isn't just about numbers.
Yeah, it's about people and how financial decisions affect their lives.
Well said. So we've reached the end of our deep dive into Islamic finance and Fahan Ibrahim Hashi's work.
What I take away from this is how powerful personalized financial advice can be when it aligns with your
I
values.
agree. And Fahan's story is a great example of how one person can make a real difference.
So keep exploring this world and think about how these principles might apply to your own finances.
Remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your money.
Until next time, keep diving deeper.